Hello there, this is World News at 12 on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. I am Solomon FM, and here are the top stories. 96,338 candidates to take mop-up UTME on Saturday, says JAMB. Tinubu urges West African leaders to operationalize ECOWAS standby force now. Presidency refutes Lamido's claim on Tinubu's June 12 rule against Abiola. Lamido vows to join any political alliance against Tinubu in 2027. PDP challenges NEC authority on June 30 NEC meeting. A business news: Nigeria faces 1,000 naira per litre petrol as Israel-Iran conflict drives oil past $90. On international scene, Iranians react after US bombs 3 nuclear sites in support of Israel. And on sport, NBA star Durant to join Rockets in all blockbuster trade. Details coming up just a moment. Once again, I am Solomon FM, and you're welcome to the World News at 12. The Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, has said it will conduct the 2025 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination mop-up examination on Saturday, June 28. This was contained in a post on the official X handle of JAMB on Sunday. It said that the examination will accommodate the 5,096 spillover candidates and those who failed biometric verification during the main exercise. JAMB explained that 91,742 candidates who were absent in both or either of the main and receipt examinations would also be given this opportunity, which is only for the 2025 UTME. This, it said, will bring a total number of candidates being scheduled for the examination in 183 centers to 96,838. The agency also said that the candidates will commence the printing of the examination notification slips from Monday, June 23, 2025. Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu has charged his West African colleagues on the need to operationalize the ECOWAS standby force as a potent tool to crush terrorism in the sub-region. Tinubu gave the charge to West African leaders at the 67th ECOWAS Heads of State and Government Summit in Nigeria's capital city, Abuja. Tinubu stated this in his capacity as the chairman of the Economic Community of West African State ECOWAS, Authority of Heads of State and Government, shortly before he handed over to Julius Maada Bio of Sierra Leone. He said Nigeria would continue to be committed to the peace, integration and economic prosperity of the sub-region. He said no nation can address the challenges of terrorism and external security threats in a sub-region alone, hence the need to translate the ECOWAS standby force from concept to reality to serve as a regional counter-terrorism force. Tinubu said he was worried over the slow pace of the force, which was supposed to be constituted with soldiers drawn from all ECOWAS member states. A wave of attack in Benin and Nigeria has recently tested the region, with Boko Haram, Al-Qaeda, ISWAP terrorists exploiting strained relationships between members of the ECOWAS and Mali, Niger and Burkina Faso, who withdrew from the 15-member regional bloc at the beginning of 2025. The presidency has strongly refuted claims made by former Jigawa State Governor Sule Lamido regarding President Bola Tinubu's role during the annulment of the June 12, 1993 presidential election, describing them as false and revisionist. In a statement titled "Setting the Record Straight, President Tinubu's Role in the June 12 Struggle," issued by the Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, the presidency expressed concern over Lamido's comments made during a live television appearance in which he accused Tinubu of supporting the annulment of Nigeria's most historic election. Lamido said Tinubu, who was a senator under the Social Democratic Party during the election, was a major supporter of former military ruler General Ibrahim Babangida, who annulled the poll. The statement emphasized that Lamido's remarks amounted to a blatant distortion of Nigeria's democratic history. The presidency defended Alaja Mogeji, Tinubu's mother, noting that she never aligned with any pro-annulment movement. The statement turned the spotlight on Lamido's actions during the crisis, accusing him and other Social Democratic Party leaders of failing to resist military pressure. In contrast, the presidency said Tinubu was among those who actively challenged the annulment before, during, and after the collapse of democratic institutions in 1993. The presidency added that Tinubu was physically present alongside Abiola to a time when others were either silent or aligned with military elements. Meanwhile, former governor of Jigawa State, Sule Lamido, was openly committed to joining any political alliance aimed at removing President Bola Tinubu from office in 2027. Speaking in a live television interview, Lamido, a prominent figure in the People's Democratic Party (PDP), criticized the current government as incompetent and divisive, emphasizing his readiness to transcend party lines for his objective. It will be recalled that a coalition of opposition leaders on Friday formed the All Democratic Alliance (ADA), a political party with a view to directly challenge the ruling All Progressive Congress (APC) in the next presidential election, and is spearheaded by former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and his immediate past governor of Kaduna State, Nasiru El-Rufai. According to Lamido, who is a member of the opposition PDP, he is open to joining any entity, no matter its nomenclature, if it will get the APC out of power. He accused the PDP's administration, Tinubu's administration rather, of dividing Nigeria along ethnic lines and using the institution of the state in manipulating, coercing, and controlling the opposition. Still on party politics, the PDP has insisted it will proceed with its National Executive Committee NEC meeting scheduled for June 30. It affirmed that the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has no authority to stop a statutory gathering. Speaking at the news conference in Abuja, the PDP National Publicity Secretary, Debo Ologunagba, questioned who INEC's acting secretary Alilu Aminu was serving by unilaterally attempting to define the purpose of the party's meeting. The ongoing battle over the national secretary role between Sunday Ude Okoye and Samuel Anyanwu, backed by the Federal Capital Territory Minister Nyesom Wike, has deepened internal rifts and repeatedly delayed NEC meetings. To resolve the dispute, the PDP appointed Setonji Koshiodo as acting national secretary. However, a fact-finding committee led by Taraba State Governor Kefas Agbo confirmed that INEC recognizes Anyanwu as the substantive national secretary. Following this, the party's 99th NEC meeting scheduled the 100th NEC for June 30, and on May 30, the acting national chairman Umar Damagun notified INEC. The electoral body, however, rejected the notice, citing its rules that such letter must be co-signed by both the national chairman and national secretary, and urged the party to comply accordingly. Reacting to INEC's letter, Olugunagba clarified that according to Nigerian law and the PDP constitution, INEC's role was limited to being notified about conventions, congresses or primaries where party officers or candidates are elected. And now to our business news. Tensions rises as the Israel-Iran conflict escalates, with recent U.S. strikes on Iranian facilities prompting experts to warn of oil prices surging past $90 per barrel. This carries dire implications for Nigeria, where fuel prices are already high, with petrol now trading at an unprecedented 900 naira per litre in many parts of the country and expected to touch 1,000 naira. The United States targeted strikes on 3 Iranian nuclear facilities have significantly intensified Middle East tensions, directly impacting global crude oil prices. Energy analysts, including Dr. Duran Fawibe, chairman of the International Energy Services Limited, predicted a fundamental spike in crude prices. Professor Wumi Iledare, a professor of petroleum economics, corroborated this statement, stating that U.S. strikes would inject a short-term geopolitical risk premium into global oil prices. The current escalation means Nigeria, despite being a crude oil producer, is caught in a difficult bind. While higher crude prices could offer a momentary boost to export revenues exceeding the 2025 budget benchmark of $75 per barrel, the domestic consequences is a rapid increase in the cost of refined petroleum product. Petrol marketers already facing challenges with the crude for Naira deal between NNPC Limited and Dangote Refinery are now contending with even higher international procurement costs. You are currently listening to the World News at 12 right here on the Voice of the People 90.3 FM. We'll take a short break. When we return, we'll head into the news analysis segment with Chukuma Okoro. Welcome back. This is the World News at 12 on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. I have Chukuma Okoro, a broadcast journalist and a current affairs analyst, right here with me. Mr. Okoro, thank you so much for joining us on the news at 12. Now, let's start with what's been getting the whole world buzzing, which is the Israel-Iran conflict. Donald Trump apparently decided to join in the war after his Republican Party were divided around whether to join the war or not. There's the faction, the warmongering faction, and then there's the other faction that followed the president's campaign promises that the U.S. is going to be an isolationist country and no more forever war. You know, over the years, U.S. have been marred in controversy, involved in so many wars. Apparently, Donald Trump decided to join the faction, the warmongering faction, and then the war has escalated. And of course, as expected, we know the huge parts Iran plays when it comes to the, what do they even call it? The Strait of Hormuz. You know, where they control the world's busiest oil shipping channel. What do you think this does to oil production in the world? Oil supply, rather.
Okay, Solomon, I like the way you traveled, from the division in the Republican Party. Essentially, the people, the warmongers that you are talking about, they are called the neocons, the neoconservatives. The neocons belong to the school of thought that said, look, when at the end of the Cold War, they expected America to pursue some kind of global primacy, for America to remain globally, the only dominant in the world, So that was the idea of the neocons. Unfortunately for them, Bush 1 at that time didn't pursue that track.
But they still dominated the world nonetheless, because I mean, after World War II, the world basically was shaped in the eyes of the Americans.
It was, but the neoconservatives wanted it to endure, but it didn't endure.
Okay.
Because immediately after that, we also saw a multipolar war. We saw many centers of power, coming up from different parts of the world. China started resurging, like what Russia is doing now, what Putin is trying to do with Russia and all of that. But anybody that has followed away from that, that has followed Trump and his history in governance, in government, like what they call Trump 1.0, that is his first term. You should have known that, should have seen this coming. When before he came, we had Obama that practically gave the JCPOA, that is the nuclear deal that he handed over to Iran, and a lot of people, including pioneered by Israel. Israel believed that, look, it was a matter of time before Iran acquired nuclear weapons, and Israel said, no, we are not going to do that. And it contributed essentially to why Hillary Clinton lost
the election,
because IPAC, Israel Public Affairs Committee, believed that Hillary Clinton administration was going to be an extension
of the Obama
administration. So they tactically worked
against her.
Obama had preached a doctrine of retrenchment. He pulled back. He started the Afghan pullback even before Biden came. and all of that. What happened in Libya when their embassy was burned down in Benghazi and one of the high commissioners died and all of that, and they didn't take action. So he started the policy of retrenchment. But when Trump came, Trump said, no, we are not going to take that. You know, Trump is essentially pro-Israel, and he understood that... Look,
like most majority of Republicans.
And he understood that if you allow Iran and North Korea, that they are going to acquire nuclear weapons in a matter of time. And Iran didn't hide the enrichment process. You know, they have been enriching uranium and all of that, until the point that with the yellow cake, it was a matter of days before they could produce a fissile bomb. And Israel isn't comfortable with that, because Iran believes that there is nothing as the state of Israel. They don't believe that there's anything like the state of Israel, and that the Holocaust never happened and all of that. So when they chant death to America, the great Satan, death to Israel, they essentially know what they are talking about. And Israel is not going to brook any of that. And they had intelligence that Iran was enriching, you know, so they had to strike. It would have been difficult for America to strike first, so that was why they allowed Israel to lead. So Israel having done that, America now stepped in. Iran is a small fry between Israel and America.
Israel alone is enough to deal with Iran,
Exactly,
and then
essentially. And a lot of people didn't believe, because of the distance, that Israel was going to strike, but they did. And Iran threatening to close the Straits of Hormuz. Do they think at all? How can you don't own that Strait of Hormuz? There are three basins, three countries that own the basin of Straits of Hormuz. You talk about UAE, you talk about Oman and Iran. So how will Iran unilaterally close that? So it's not going to happen. You see, the panic is what is driving the oil prices. And unfortunately, we live in a country where anything that happens at the global community, at the international community, our leadership tries to use it to explain away.
Now, unfortunately, the panic is not exactly far-fetched when you consider the position Iran is right now. I mean, they're practically being bombed by two superpowers. They have nothing. They have nothing to lose, and Iran have shown over the years that, well, they can skew the rules here and there. So, and then compared to the other countries, they tend to have a huge influence in that strait, unfortunately.
Yes, they tend to, but that doesn't mean that they have unilateral decision over the strait, except they want to cause more problems.
That is exactly
the world, and the world will not allow that.
They have nothing to lose. That's the point.
No, at this point, they have something to lose, because the world is going to come down harder on them. The world will come after them. Forget all the noise that Russia is making, and well, China is neutral. As traditionally China, they will remain neutral, because they are not interested in your internal affairs. They are not interested in when you are Solomon and Dola, they are fighting. They are interested in what can we get out of this. You know, so China is out of it. And traditionally, France is going to side with the United States and Israel. So close that.
Well, I don't think it's as simple as that, because I mean, Donald Trump is already causing enough commotion in the world right now, where the traditional allies are beginning to rethink their position. You know, in terms of
what are they rethinking? When he went to United Nations Security Council to cancel the Iran nuclear deal, he met a brick wall. He came back and did it alone. He slammed sanctions on Iran, and Iran was stifled more like. So it was in their best interest that Trump left. So in all of this, let's bring it down to Nigeria here, where prices of oil, you know, the Brent is coming up now, and analysts predict that it might hit up to 130, dollars per barrel in the coming months. So what does that tell you about Nigeria? What does that portend for Nigeria? More revenue for us. Exactly, like more like it's going to be a windfall, like we had during the Gulf War. But the big question is fiscal responsibility. How are we going to manage all of that? So if you say that, well, because of that, Dangote is increasing his prices, you don't have to blame him, because how much does he buy? He buys at international rate. He doesn't. The only thing he does is is naira for crude.
And the fact that he still doesn't have access to direct crude from Nigeria itself, they still have to import it.
He still imports,
which is a huge problem.
Which is a big problem. So it's not just a Nigerian factor. If he has to buy from outside, Of course, it's a businessman, has to maximize his profit. So essentially, that is what is happening. But I'm more interested in what the government will do with the windfall. So that's why I talked about fiscal responsibility. It is not a time, for state governors and the federal government, Federal Ministry of Finance Incorporated, to dashing people, to start dashing people money and here and there. If there is, we should be able to, depending on how long it lasts, because I don't see this, I don't see this war, this crisis enduring. Russia has already advised Iran to make peace. So what does that tell you? What it clearly tells you that look, Russia might not clearly be on the side of Iran, because on its plate now Russia has a lot.
Meaning Iran don't have as much support as I think they do.
How will they? Saudi Arabia is not their regional rivals, So Saudi Arabia will be interested in seeing Iran decimated. So they're just going to stand by, and probably, if it is possible for them, a lot of people should also understand that Iranians are not Arabians. They are patient. They just happen to be within that community, and they've been causing problems for the Arab world. Nudging them here and there. What is going on in Palestine? What is going on in Houthi? What is going on in Lebanon and all of that. And the Arab world is not. They are not happy with Iran. So if they have a way of ensuring that Iran is taken out of that equation, that regional rivalry between Iran and Saudi Arabia, trust me, the Arab world will support it. So that is how I see it. But essentially, I like coming back home. How that affects Nigerian economy. If you are going to get so much money, like I said, depending on how long it lasts, we should just be careful what we do with the money.
So in other words, you're predicting a short period of boom with all this.
No, it's going to be short. It goes back to what Saddam did.
But the boom nonetheless.
A boom nonetheless. The Iraqi crisis even lasted longer when Saddam Hussein said that this was going to be the mother of all battles. And what happened? Within a matter of months, it was run out of place.
So you think the market is just reacting to this hysteria for nothing?
Not for nothing, because like you said, Iran has much weight within the oil community, because now they are going to be, they do like, how much now? They do like 1.8 a day, which is now apparently going to be cut off from the market. So that is why you see the hysteria, price jumping up and all that.
And of course, 20% of the global oil and gas flow through that shipping lane.
That shipping route, So essentially, why I tell you that Oman and UAE will not stand by and allow Iran to close the Straits of Hormuz. That is not going to happen. America will not even allow it, because they will also have what we call the United Nations Convention on Laws of the Sea. If it becomes international, America might wade in. They might just send the ship there to ensure that Iran doesn't try any nonsense.
I mean, Donald Trump's hands is flipping anyway, so he doesn't even wait for it. He doesn't even wait for it to be international for a way.
I think he's found it.
He's using that pretext. Using that as a pretext, yeah.
Yes, to deal with Iran.
Okay, let's go to the second topic, which is political. Anyway, so at the weekend, we've had a back and forth between the presidency and the former governor of Jigawa State, Sula Lamido, where Lamido came out to, give his side of what they think Tinubu's position or role was in the annulment of MK Abiola's election, as the June 12 election, where he said Tinubu supported the election, supported the annulment, and given details of some political and sub-regional rivalry, cold rivalry that was going on between MKO and Tinubu. Do you agree? I'm sure you've seen the interview. So what do you think about that? We're going to talk about the presidency's response.
Okay. What I think is that Lamido is essentially not chasing June 12, he's chasing Tinubu. Because June 12 is how many years ago? I think.
I mean, since 1993, 26 years ago.
He didn't tell us all of this, So why now? He's been very vocal, against against the Tinubu administration. So my concern is that why is he using June 12, to chase Tinubu? If you understand, he might have a point, because I know that a lot of Southwesterners, a lot of Yoruba people actually supported the annulment of June 12. I said this on record because at that point I was close to somebody who was close to DMI, Director of Military Intelligence, Halilu Akilu, and the information I got that time was that in the dead of the night, you see some prominent Southwesterners, drive into his residence, and these residents had a glass. His apartment, his living room had a glass covering, so that if I'm on this side, I can see you, but you cannot see me. So he will call him. Halilu Akilu will call the person and say, look at the prominent Yoruba people that I wouldn't want to mention, that are coming to tell him, look, whatever you people do, make sure that this man doesn't get into that office. Talking about MKO Abiola. If Tinubu was one of them, I cannot tell, but his name wasn't mentioned at that point. So it is curious to me that Lamido knew all of this and he didn't squeal, he didn't say it. So why is he now using it to campaign against Bola Ahmed Tinubu? Is it not better that he comes out to say, look...
Probably waiting for the right time to drop the bomb, in quote.
Would this be the right time? This be the right time? Because
I mean, right now, the support for Tinubu is way down because of the economy. So probably the right time to.
If he's using the economy, he will get more people on his side than using June 12. If he's using June 12, people will just know that he's
June 12 is, we know the sentiment involved with it when it comes to the Southwesterners, and then he will have less support among the Southwesterners when he brings June 12 into the conversation.
No, he will not. He will not. You know what? Nigerians are done with June 12. June 12, with Babangida's book and what the government has done to declare June 12 public holiday, to immortalize the Abiola family in one way or the other, Nigerians have moved on away from June 12.
Really?
So, yes, if you ask me. So anybody resurrecting it is even trying to play, into the wounds of the past. And even the Southwesterners will not take that. Now, if you talk about the average Westerner, 2027, is not going to work against Bola Ahmed. If you understand Nigerian politics.
The average Westerner, yes. Which I think is why he's trying to whip up sentiment with the June 12th.
But it will not work for him. It will not work. Because they are stuck in their ideology. They are stuck in their ways. Once the Westerner declares for Bola Ahmed Tinubu, 100 of them, if they do, only 5 people will go back. 95 will stick with him. Thick or thin, good or bad, shine or rain. That is how they are in their politics. So I'm not sure that Lamido will do much damage, on reputation of Bola Ahmed Tinubu using June 12 sentiments. If you were talking about insecurity and talking about the economy, if you were saying, look, Mr. President, when Jonathan was there, you asked Jonathan to take responsibility. Now you are in office as president, you are not asking governors to take responsibility. You are a bulk person. More people will listen to him than when he's using the June 12 thing, to try to destroy Tinubu's reputation. That's what I think about it.
So now go back to your earlier comments that lots of Southwesterners were support of the annulment of MK Abiola.
No, not a lot. The leadership. The leadership.
I mean, when you think of the weight of what a political leader is, I mean, it's almost like a lot. I'm not talking about the ordinary Nigerians. Now, of course, the political leaders carry a huge weight. Why do you think that is, though?
Well, essentially, because they also believe that he worked against Awolowo, who is more like their idol. They believe that MK Abiola worked against Awolowo at some point. Awolowo was on the UPN, Abiola was NPN. At that point, he even wanted to contest the presidency under NPN to whittle Awolowo's influence in the Southwest. A lot of Westerners, big and small, big and mighty and lowly, have also not forgiven Abiola because of that in 1979 and especially in 1983.
I mean, but it's one thing to start working against him during the campaigning before the election, but continuing it after he won the election. I mean, that election that's been generally adjudged as the freest and fairest election we've ever had in the country. There must be something deeper other than just trying to what's the word now? Other than just trying to play the revenge game.
I can't figure out any other thing, probably beyond what
Beyond the revenge game.
Yes, beyond what they feel that he did against Awolowo. You know, Awolowo will still, if Awolowo resurrects today and contests an election in southwest Nigeria, he's going to win over and over and over and over again and again and again. Because he did a lot for his people. And they are not about to forget that. So they still carry that weight of, look, this is an icon, this is a sage for the Yoruba land. And so if at any point in time, can you recall of anybody that had worked against Awolowo and survived it? None in the Southwest. I can't think of any. You know, so for Abiola to have done that to him, they are quite unforgiving when it comes to that, especially the leadership. And you know, there's always a difference between the followers, the led, and the leader and the led. The leaders have a different agenda, you know, and the led always the proletariats, you know, they are always more like a bandwagon. Okay, now when an activist come out to say it must be June 12th, must be restored and all of that,
they just join the bandwagon.
They just join the bandwagon, and but the leadership also knows what they are looking at.
Now, still talking politics and PDP, there's this controversy between INEC and PDP concerning the National Executive Committee, where the PDP have chosen June 30, you know, but then the INEC rejected that date, saying the notification letter wasn't signed by. Was co-signed by the National Publicity Secretary. What do you think is at play here?
I think what PDP is trying to do is to self-destruct. INEC has said, look, the convention can't hold because the person that it wasn't even signed. Now the question will be between Damagu and Samanyang, why was that memo
not signed?
Are they up to something? Are they playing games? And the other section of PDP goes ahead to say, look, irrespective of that, we are going to conduct the convention. And they also know clearly that any convention they conduct without INEC observing it is as good as a jamboree. You didn't do anything. So why go ahead to do it? Why don't you sort out the issue of national secretary before you go hold a convention on June 30th? So it clearly speaks to the fact that, look, there are people within, someone said that our convention may never hold before 2027. And so that is what is playing out now.
Now, some may tempted to think that INEC is also trying to sabotage PDP, you know, considering, I mean, if what we know about the INEC constitution and is anything to go by, then INEC don't exactly have a say on how the letter should be signed, other than the fact that they got a notification and an invitation to observe the NEC meeting.
But it is not INEC's business, you know.
But that's the angle at which INEC is coming from.
Solomon, how can you give me an employment letter that is not signed? Is it valid?
The problem wasn't that it wasn't signed; it's that it wasn't co-signed by a national secretary. That is the bone of contention here.
So why would the national secretary not sign it?
Because they don't have a national secretary. If the chairman signed, isn't that enough?
If you have a national secretary, if you don't have a national secretary, who convenes the convention? That is the question. And INEC says, look, we were not validly invited because the letter wasn't co-signed, like he said. That's a big issue. So why don't they resolve it before the convention? Going back to what some people have said, look, that convention might never hold. A lot of people have also, have you heard when people say that, look, that INEC has become a political party or a branch of APC in Nigeria?
I mean, that's what it looks like.
And it's what it looks like because of the way INEC carries itself on. You know, so it's a bit tough for the PDP. I really sympathize with them. It's like APC is holding them by the jugular. Unfortunately, they are unable to resolve all that is happening in the PDP. Quite unfortunate.
Now, according to the information I have here, INEC trying to resolve the acting national secretary thing. Of course, they left the two factions of the national and appointed Setonji.
PDP trying to resolve, or INEC trying to resolve?
PDP rather. Okay. You know, they appointed Setonji Koshedo as acting national secretary. You know, at least for the purpose of signing. But according to a fact-finding mission by Taraba State Governor Kefas Habu, they confirmed that INEC recognizes Anyanwu as the substantive national secretary. Why are they recognizing him when?
Exactly the question. Why is INEC recognizing Anyanwu when the Supreme Court has said, look, this decision is the internal affair of a party, of a political party, and but within the PDP, there are two factions. A faction that says, wait, it is
Sunday Okoye.
Others say it is Sam Anyanwu.
And of course, Nyesom Wike, you know, is supporting Samuel Anyanwu.
Nyesom Wike is supporting Samuel Anyanwu. Now, PDP governors are supporting Samuel Okoye. The PDP Southeast Caucus is supporting Samuel Okoye. So why all these divisions within the PDP? They need to put their acts together. Like I said, it's a difficult thing for them to do. And that the other faction seems to be more powerful. And in all of this, Atiku Abubakar, who is also at the center of the drama, is more interested, you know, in forming a coalition party.
I mean, which he has done.
Which he's trying to do with the ADA, African Democratic
Yes.
But they say they are still having problems here and there. The article says, look, I cannot even adopt this as a coalition party. A party, an organization that has not been registered as a political party. How can you say I have adopted it as a coalition party? No, there is no such thing. It's still in the works and all of that. We are still cooking. So let's see.
And then the weird part is that we don't even get to hear Atiku associating with PDP. I mean, his name barely comes up in any PDP issue right now. So is he still in the PDP or
still in the PDP? Whether he's
on paper, apparently?
On paper, he still has a huge followership in PDP, and if Atiku is going to leave PDP, he's going to go with a chunk of the PDP, a very large chunk of it. So I wonder what will happen to PDP when Atiku eventually leaves.
Oh, that is really quite unfortunate. It's always a pleasure talking to you, Mr. Okoro. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Solomon.
That's Chukwuma Okoro, broadcast journalist and current affairs analyst.
Information from around the world.
On the foreign scene, Russian President Vladimir Putin has told Russians that peace with Ukraine will only take place when Russia achieves its objectives.
A bulletin filled with interesting, educating stories.
The news on VOP.
You're welcome back. This is the World News at 12 on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. And to our international news, Iranians inside and outside the country have been closely monitoring and reacting to rapidly unfolding events after the United States President Donald Trump ordered the bombing of Iran's top nuclear site amid the ongoing conflict with Israel. U.S. bunker buster bombs dropped from two B-Spirit strategic bombers and Tomahawk cruise missiles launched from naval platforms hit Iran's three main nuclear sites at Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan early on Sunday. Trump claimed the nuclear facilities were totally obliterated, though there has been no evidence shown as of yet to confirm that. Iranian authorities confirmed the strikes after several hours, but said that there was no radioactive leak. The International Atomic Energy Agency (IAEA) also confirmed there was no off-site contamination. Iranian state media appear to downplay the impact to the government to run Irna report from an area near Fordow, the most significant and hard-to-reach nuclear site, that there was only limited smoke rising from the place where air defenses were believed to be stationed and no major activities from emergency responders. The head of Iran's Red Crescent Society, Pir Hussein Kolivan, said that there had been no deaths in the U.S. strikes. Images also showed substantial movement of trucks and bulldozers around Fordow in the days preceding the strike, in what appeared to be an attempt by Iran to move out equipment and nuclear material stored at the protected site in anticipation of U.S. strikes. And now to sports. Two-time NBA champion Kevin Durant will join the Houston Rockets in a blockbuster move from the Phoenix Suns. The 36-year-old forward will join the Rockets at the start of July in a deal involving 8 other players. In exchange, guard Jalen Green and small forward Dylan Brooks will move to Phoenix, who will also gain the 10th pick on Wednesday's NBA draft and 5 future second-round picks, according to reports in U.S. media. Speaking at the media event in New York, Durant told reporter Kay Adams, quote, "Being part of the Houston Rockets, I'm looking forward to it," end of quote. Durant is a 4-time Olympic champion with the United States and was the NBA's most valuable player in 2014. Last season, the Suns could only finish 11th in the Western Conference, with Durant averaging 26.6 points, 6 rebounds, 4.2 assists, and 1.2 blocked shots a game. The Rockets finished second in the Western Conference but were knocked out of the playoffs in the first round. They are coached by Ime Udoka, who signed a long-term deal last week to remain in Houston as Houston's coach. Durant and Udoka previously worked together with the Brooklyn Nets and on the U.S. Olympic squad. And that's the news, but before we go, here again are the top stories. Tinubu urges West African leaders to operationalize ECOWAS standby force now. Presidency refutes Lamido's claim on Tinubu's June 12 rule against Abiola. Lamido vows to join any political alliance against Tinubu in 2027. PDP challenges INEC authority on June 13 NEC meeting. 96,838 candidates to take mop-up UTME on Saturday, says JAMB. On our business news, Nigeria faces 1,000 naira per litre petrol as Israel-Iran conflict drives oil past $90. On a foreign scene, Iranians react after US bombs free nuclear site in support of Israel. And in sport, NBA star Durant to join Rockets in blockbuster trade. And that's the world. This is 12. I am Solomon Ofem. Do follow our social media handles at VOP903FM. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at VOP903FM. Good afternoon and thank you for listening.